Let's talk about Mohamed Salah's foot because, before the game, he makes the call to leave him on the bench. And I always kind of assume when that happens, you're obviously not rotating. Your thinking is, okay, I'm going to leave him out. I have other options. I can live with a draw. We'll see how the game goes. And then he decided to send him on. Was he concerned at that stage? Because if you have a foot injury, yeah, I could get the argument that you're going to aggravate it by playing 90 minutes, and maybe you aggravate it less by playing 25 minutes or however many minutes you play. But was that his thinking, or do you think it was a moment when Klopp said, all right, let's take these 3 points home, and we're better off doing it with more on the pitch?
No, I think Salah wanted to start.
Yeah, of
I
course.
think he had a fitness test in the morning that worked well. We saw them walking around Hackney from the hotel and having that little promenade, and he looked completely fine. I think it was a question of, okay, let's not take a risk anyway. You just don't know. I don't think it was a bad injury at all or a serious one. You just don't know. Obviously, if you play 30 minutes instead of a 90, you divide it by a lot, the risk of another injury or get another knock on your foot. I think that was just the idea. You cannot, at 1-0, you still had to play him because the game was not in the bag just yet. So Salah was perfect to come on and score the second goal, and then that was it. You had the 3 points. Turned out that it was Firmino who scored it, but I think it was still good for Salah. And just imagine you're the Arsenal defence, you're Kieran Tierney, and you've played well, and you've been good against Sadio Mane playing on the right-hand side and against Trent, and then suddenly you see on the boards, oh no,
oh my God, not this guy.
Not him. I think they played that perfectly.
We saw Firmino come on and score. In some ways, with his injuries, really, I think the last season and a half, he's been a little bit forgotten. He's always, if it was sort of this great front three, now it was like Salah, Mane, and Firmino, right? And Jota emerged, and they got Luis Diaz. He's very different from the other front men. And I wonder with him coming back, if he can have a sustained run of fitness, I think he's so important as a link between midfield and attack, especially because, it's one of my favorite themes, Thiago Alcantara, you never know if he's going to play or not, right?
Yeah, if Thiago is fit.
But it's for me, if especially in games when Thiago's not there.
Yeah.
Firmino could potentially become critical.
Huge. Yeah, massively. I think if Thiago is fit, you play Jota for the efficiency. I mean, again, yesterday there's one chance, one goal. Firmino would not have scored that goal.
Or Luis Diaz.
Always Diaz, but even Diaz is not a goal scorer like a pure one, like Jota is. What I find amazing, really, and I was thinking about that last night, is there a better front five in the world right now? I don't think so. Not even at City, in the sense, before you jump on the City point, in the sense of where they all have such a different skill set, all five of them, and complement each other so well. Diaz, Mane, Salah, Jota and Firmino. I don't think there's a more complete front five, and I'm not even sure that in the past you've had a team with a front five like this, so different to the point gap that they can almost play all together, and they would all bring something different to your team. And it's not impossible, but maybe one day Klopp would say, you know what, let's have fun and let's have all those five together and see what happens. But I even think that they could actually play the five of them together and not make the same runs, not drop the same way, not do the same thing together, which I think is incredible.
I think you make a great point about this, about how different the five of them are. And in some ways, it's counterintuitive that you would have, because Liverpool are a team that is very much about the patterns of play.
Yeah.
This is a really, this isn't like one of those teams like, I remember, like Max Allegri would say, he's like, oh, well, have those three guys out there, they're up front, they're so good, just let them play and they'll figure it out because they're so talented, right? That's not what Klopp does with his teams. There are schematics, there are patterns of play. It's very obvious, especially if you see Liverpool play in person. And so you have players with different skill sets who interpret those same patterns of play differently, and there's no drop-off in continuity and quality. When Robertson is going to hit a cross-field ball, he knows that whether it's Salah or Jota or whoever he hits it to, he knows they're going to make a different kind of run, and yet he still knows what to do in the moment. Did you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't understand how I know he's been there a long time, but I don't understand how he does that. because that strikes to me. When you speak to managers, the complaint is always, at least the ones I talk to, is, well, we didn't have enough time to work on this, or I want more time, blah, blah, blah. The guy doesn't have that many training sessions. Even Luis Diaz arrives, they drop him in, and he has an instant impact. I don't know if this is scouting that they do beforehand and they figure out that the guy will naturally do certain things.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's just setting out. If it's Klopp being able to condense what would take somebody else 20 minutes to explain, if he does it in 30 seconds. But to me, that is really, really remarkable.
Yeah,
and it's one of the strengths, without question, of Liverpool. And I think part of what makes Klopp so good.
And you see on the Jota goal, just to finish on that, the run from Mane that takes away, that messes up completely the Arsenal defence, then for Jota to have the space for Thiago to put that perfect ball. Even if Ramsdale makes a mistake and maybe should save it, should not save it, it doesn't matter. It's the way they build that goal that is, I think, absolutely incredible. And again, this is something that they must work on so much in training. And when you see it working in the game like this, of this magnitude, such a key part of the season, I think as a manager, you must be like, oh, okay, all of this is worth it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.